Alrighty, everyone. So here are our downloadable reflexology charts. We're going to start with the feet and just give you a preview of what these look like, just a little bit of background. The reason why I created these digital charts, which when you purchase them, you'll receive a PDF file, which you can print out, and they will look exactly like this. So they are printed off on just plain sheets of paper that you can stick in a binder or laminate if you want to get super creative. But I wanted to make these accessible because we have our big wall charts, our 18-inch by 24-inch wall charts. Some people are saying that they're too big, and also I can't ship internationally without incurring like massive shipping costs, which I don't want to pass on to you all. So I wanted to create these mini charts which you can clearly see during a session, have by your side, and also just further your learning and make the charts and the information a little bit more accessible. So these are exactly how you'll get them in PDF format, and they print out exactly like this. So really nice and pretty, and all of my contact information at the bottom as well. This is the foot reflexology chart. So we have the right and left plantar surfaces. You can see a little bit of close-upness. We have all of the classic reflexes, pituitary pineal, all of the glandular reflexes, upper lower digestive, kidney, bladder, just really, really cool stuff, really easy to understand, and a brief definition of foot reflexology at the top, really keeping it simple. Then we have our foot reading chart, and for each reflexology chart, there will be a corresponding reading chart or assessment chart. And this is where we get into the art and science of the assessment protocol. Specifically with the feet, we have the horizontal zones and vertical zones. Important to understand, even though this is the horizontal zones on the right, the vertical zones on the left, know that they are on both feet. Just a lot easier to do one and the other on the visual, and a little bit of a definition of foot reading at the top for you, breaking down both the horizontal zones in terms of where the reflexes are located in different body sections and their mental emotional meaning, and also the vertical zones of influence and how we would create that grid, placing these two on top of each other during an assessment. Moving on to the hands, a little bit of weird stuff happened with the hands because I didn't want to turn the image landscape. So I kept it this way, but that means that we had a little bit of blankness. So a little bit of like background tweakiness on my end, but y'all don't care because you'll love it anyway. That's what you always tell me, even though I worry. But we have right and left palmar surfaces, all of the classic reflexes. It is important to note that these reflexes are in anatomical position. So we have the right hand of the client, left hand of the client, but the palms are turned face up so that the thumbs are lateral, but the thumbs represent our medial midline in reflexology. So just little bit of understanding that needs to occur from a visual perspective there. Note we have the shoulder reflex, which is on this image medially, but the shoulder reflex itself is actually lateral. So that's the only issue with the hands when we think of like Western anatomical position. There's a little bit of just extra thought process that needs to be kind of taken into consideration there. Then we have the hand reading chart, which is so fun. The hand reading chart gives us, again, that definition of what hand reading, not necessarily palmistry. That's very, very different, but we have the horizontal and vertical zones as well as the guidelines, which you'll see on all of the charts. Moving on to the face reflexology chart, this is the one that everybody is freaking out about because from my personal experience, not too many people have mapped the face from a Western reflexology standpoint. They're using a lot of traditional Chinese medicine. They're not using traditional reflexology principles on the face. They're using other modalities. And so this is really the face chart that a lot of my students have been looking for and asking for, where we map brain, sinuses, neck, lymph, as well as chest space. Then we go into upper and lower digestive. You can see the kidneys on either side of the lips, the bladder, like all of the traditional reflexes you would see in a chart have now been mapped on the face in this mini reflexology face chart. So hope you enjoyed that one. Then we have the more general overview, which I think is just so pretty. Like my clients, it gets a little bit complicated when clients look at, the reflexology chart because it's all of the shapes, all of the colors. It can be really, really confusing, especially if they don't have a medical background. But when we look at the reading charts are very client friendly. They talk about horizontal zone 1 being head and neck, oh, I have pain there, therefore I have pain, in that area. Then horizontal zone 2, 3, 4, 5, the vertical zones, as well as the mental emotional meaning of each. So it's not just head and neck, it's also thoughts and opinions, and being able to dissect and plant those seeds within the client in terms of their just deeper understanding of what the reflexes actually mean. Okay. Then we go into the ear chart, and this is another one that people are freaking out about, because what we do in Western reflexology is we're looking at the body as mapped on the extremities, top to bottom, as they occur anatomically. A lot of ear reflexology uses, again, traditional Chinese medicine auricular therapy with the inverted fetus model. The head is at the lobe, and then the lower body is up at the crest. But when we think of all the other extremities in reflexology, they are all mapped bottom to top. Same thing with the hands. Bottom to top. Same thing with the feet. Bottom to top. Or, as I'll tell my students, narrow to wide. So, just as a quick kind of briefing, we have on this ear reflexology chart the sciatic reflex at the base. Then we go into, in that cavum concha, that deep auditory opening of the ears, all of the reproductive lower digestive reflexes, hip, knee, leg, upper digestive. Then in that triangular fossa, that really nice triangle ditch at the upper ear, we have all that chest lung space, the shoulder, the lymph drainage. Then we have the spine on the medial surface of the ear and the brain up top, as well as sinuses, all the good stuff you would see in a traditional reflexology chart that you can now find on our version of the ear reflexology chart. As a side note, I really think it's fun to look at the extremities in different ways. So I'll play with my acupuncture friends. We'll each grab an ear, which I think is a really fun game if you have like a friend who studied traditional Chinese medicine and maybe you want to investigate some of the other forms of reflexology like this chart. We each grab an ear. We go over things like the mental emotional meaning as well, and we'll grid where the person's issue is and what we're actually seeing in the ear, and we'll both come up with the exact same answer through totally different means, literally backwards charts that we're kind of looking at in our heads, as well as the 5-element versus 4-element theory. It's all, very, very different, but at the end of the day, we come up with the same conclusion about what the person needs to do in order to get better, which is, I think, super cool. Then we have our last chart of the 8, our ear reading chart. So this breaks down, again, into those easier to digest horizontal and vertical zones, as well as shows the mental emotional meaning as well. So reminding us that each of the extremities is not just physical, it's also internal. And these are the charts that are now available through the online store. So if you wanted to check those out, I will put a link in the description below. And I hope you've enjoyed this mini tutorial on our new downloadable reflexology and extremity reading charts.